All right, December 5th, 2011, set, tape 2. So anyway, so let's talk about the news media in a minute. So from my other tape, I finished off saying, you know, you people really did a lot of destruction. But that's not the worst of it. In my super old age, there was something I was going to do that was going to shock the world. And it would have been a great benefit for all children all over the world. But you know what? That's never going to happen now. Remember what I said about one of my other videos, that people shouldn't kill not because of religion or morals or any of that, or because they can or can't do it, or they can or can't stomach doing it. I said they shouldn't kill because when you kill, you could be killing the next Einstein, the next person who's going to cure cancer, the next person who's coming up with another invention that's going to really help people. You're going to stall or maybe fix forever a system that works genetically like Russian roulette. Did you know the human DNA? Let me tell you how vast it is. And it doesn't matter what expert you talk to, I'm telling it like it is right now. The distance from the Earth to the Sun is considered an AU, astronomical unit, for us, which is about 93 million miles. You really want to be turned on to something? Let me tell you what kind of vastness you, no matter whether you're dumb, stupid, evil, malicious person, hateful, loving, it doesn't matter who you are, this is what you carry around with you. This is how much information you carry from ancestral knowledge that goes back who knows where. Okay? It may even go back before we alleged we came from the primordial ooze, or from the God fanatics who believe that God created us out of the blue. The DNA we've mapped, but we haven't interpreted every last section of the DNA. If you glued end to end all the DNA, it would be 600 astronomical units long. Now that means you would multiply 93 million miles, rounded off of course, times 600 astronomical units. Each unit represents 93 million miles. So 93 million miles times 600 ends up being like 55 billion 700 million miles long. Before I had a figure that was longer, it was 74 billion miles, but it isn't. It's 55 billion 700 million miles long. You know how far Pluto is? I mentioned Pluto in the final planet. How far it is to the edge of our solar system? Somewhere between 3 billion or more miles, depending, because Pluto has an elliptical orbit. So its furthest orbit, I think, is 6 billion miles. Double that? Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's in and around, let's round it off to 5 billion miles. Even if it was 10 billion miles, okay, to the edge of the universe, I mean, not universe, excuse, strike that. That's a mistake. The edge of the solar system. Your DNA, 55 billion miles long. Billion. You're dealing with Pluto, you're only dealing with a one-digit figure. Here you're dealing with a double-digit figure, and it's big. 55 billion miles long. That means your DNA, unraveled like a string and glued end to end. The DNA is like 4 to 6 feet long if you unravel one cell. And you've got 100 trillion cells that make you up. And those cells replace themselves, all 100 trillion of them replace themselves every 7 years. Now, you think about this. I don't care whether you're a person trying to prove to others that their God exists or God doesn't, I don't care. They took a picture. Why would a God want to bother with a planet that's not even the size of an atom compared to the huge size of the universe, which is, they don't know how big it really is. It's unknown. But it's huge. Now, our whole solar system is smaller than an atom compared to the universe. And I'm not going to bother being correct about this. It doesn't matter. I told you in one of my other videos, they took the Voyager spacecraft, which we sent out, our planet sent out, the Homo sapiens species sent out, turned and took a picture of planet Earth at the edge of the solar system, where Pluto is. You know how big the Earth was? As big as the period on the end of this YouTube thing saying use tool to record a YouTube video instantly via your computer's webcam. For more details, comma, please see here, make sure your video cam is installed and working correctly. Period. That little period that you're looking at when you tape the next show is how big the planet Earth looks at the edge of the solar system. Yeah, you can see it in the picture. It has kind of like a little cloud effect around it. But think about that. So the solar system itself is just a dot compared to the whole galaxy, which is 120,000 light years wide, 80,000 light years thick. A light year is 6 trillion miles. Once I start throwing these numbers at you, if you have any kind of idea what mathematics is, even if you're able to add 2 plus 2, you should be able to comprehend what I have just told you. And if you can comprehend that, you can see that if you're going to talk about God, you know, why would a God who's probably bigger than the universe bother with something that is under some God's microscope? And in comparison, we have to have a special atomic microscope to be able to see an atom, which we can. We see some kind of cloud activity around the nucleus of an atom. That's one atom. So God was this bigger than the universe, must have a real huge atomic microscope to be able to find us. No. You know what? This is far beyond a lot of our comprehension. And to think that all the wars, all the hate, all the love, everything that you can add up, that adds up the whole human race, doesn't amount to anything in comparison to the size of the universe. So what have you got to lose by having a different person as the leader of your country? In the movie Things to Come, which was in the 1930s, H.G. Wells, Raymond Massey plays John Cabell, and he plays the Wings Over the World kind of unofficial leader. And he's talking to one of these guys after the Earth has been ravaged and all that, and Wings Over the World, these airmen of the world, have taken over the planet in a lot of areas, but there are still these offshoot little places with kings and queens and presidents, and this guy, I'm the lord of this area, and he says, what's wrong with you? He says, I need more planes for my war. We're almost victorious. And Raymond Massey turns to him and he says, you should rent the movie. It's really fantastic. It's Things to Come. And he says, I don't have to worry about me. They know where I'm at. They'll come and get me. And he says, you know, this war business that you have has to end. And it's interesting because they have advanced technologies and they rebuild the planet Earth. And in the movie they talk about having to force themselves to explore the universe, because which would you rather have, just this on Earth or that? Rent the movie. And John, when he sits on and talks with the board of executors that they're handling things, doesn't talk like he's some president of the United States. Doesn't talk like he talks like a real leader should. He's suggesting, well, maybe, well, we can do this and we can do that. And then, of course, I'm sure the movie doesn't go into it, but I'm sure there's discussions and there's amendments and there's adjustments to people's arguments as to what's going to be implemented, obviously. But, you know, leadership isn't really needed. And more like guidance is what we need. Teachers in place of politicians. Politicians are all lawyers. You know, Shakespeare said something about lawyers. He said, first thing we do is kill all the lawyers. There should be socialized lawyers and socialized medicine in this country. And that's what I will do as Emperor of the United States. If the people of the United States have a plebiscite, I guarantee you. And I'm not going to do this job for years at a time. Hell no. I don't think so. You've already ripped me off for 20 years of my life and ripped my older twin for 35 years of his life. Neither one of us really want to do anything. I know he doesn't at all, ever. No amount of money, no amount of coaxing, nothing. Me, I'm still willing to do it, but you're going to have to pay a high price, all of you. And I'm going to go after every person that did damage to me. I guarantee that. But the plebiscite is needed. You need to overthrow the country. Plus, remember what I said in one of my other videos, I'm going to guarantee and give you people a template. I'm going to compose a new law that will give people the steps they need to take to overthrow anyone that is in power, whether they're elected or to emperor, king, queen, or president, or Congress, or democracy. It doesn't matter. You can change it any time the majority of people wish to change it. But there's one condition. You all have to be somewhat equally educated. You all have to take a course in diplomacy. You all have to take certain courses in order to set your mind in a disciplined state of affairs, so that at least when you make a decision and you make it unanimously, it's the decision you all want, and you're not doing it from a haphazard place of decision. But all this is going to take time, and time is something we don't have very much of. None of us do. We all die. All of us. Eventually. And that's one thing that really chaps my hide. I can't understand how people would want to kill someone else when they know they're going to die too. Why? What are you getting out of it? What are you getting out of watching YouTube or the media or going to the movies and spending all that money to see all these stars who claim that they're, and some of them are anti-war. I don't see them giving hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars to me to support me, to help put me into the position of absolute decision maker, final decision maker, even over the Supreme Court, so that we can have we can get closer to a Garden of Eden here. We're not going to get a Garden of Eden with Henry Cain or Mitt Romney, or remember what I said? I hate to repeat myself. There are too many cooks in the kitchen, too many bosses. Nobody can get anything done. So we need to downsize. If you're going to ask the middle class and people to downsize their lives, downsize the cities too. And do it on a voluntary basis. I'm sure there's tons of people that want to leave these big cities, but they can't because, I got 13 minutes in to this video, because they don't have the money to leave. And if they do leave, they want to go somewhere where they'll be able to immediately hit the ground running, working someplace, still continuing to work and bring in some kind of livelihood for themselves, and if they have families, for their families. It's time we spread out the country evenly. This will alleviate a lot of the problems we have in the big cities. As far as the problem with Mexico, I got some answers for that. I got some answers with taking care of the borders. We can get rid of the borders completely. I have a completely different plan that will tame people and keep them in Mexico. More people will want to go to Mexico for work than come to the United States. There are alternative, peaceful, non-destructive ways that we can take care of all this, but we have to have someone with a master plan, and I'm the one who has it, unfortunately. And I don't expect you to believe me. You can go on living your crazy lives, but you will end up destroying yourselves doing it, because you're just adding on to something that doesn't work. Remember, doing the same thing over and over again leads to a permanent insanity. And it's 14 minutes and 40 seconds. I'm going to title this Nude Women, because that's the only way it's going to get attention on YouTube. Oh well, I'll go back to my depressed life. We'll talk to you later. Good day.